This is digital marketing strategy and generating demand, and it is being presented by SCORE Southeast New Jersey. Our presenter today is Peter Bemko, who is a SCORE mentor, and he is the social media chair for our chapter, for the Southeast New Jersey chapter. Peter is also a digital marketing strategist partnering with WSI, a global digital marketing agency. He has over 30 years of experience in technology and business management working for financial firms. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Peter. Peter, you can share your screen and get started.
Excellent. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate it. Okay, so of course my screen share said no, not until you were done. So off we go. Okay, so welcome everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time out this afternoon to attend this webinar on digital strategy and generating demand. It's going to be pretty packed because they are two topics that are very important to every single business. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping. I'll just follow in Tony's footsteps and talk about the fact that this is part of our digital marketing series. This is the fourth webinar in that series, and you can look at any of the information on the previous ones on score.org or on our YouTube channel. This is a little about me. Tony's already done that. So let's just do a quick poll, right? So that we can just understand who's in the room. Tony, could you put the poll up, please?
Yes, I'm going to put the poll up. I'm trying to put the poll up. Polls. It's coming up on my screen. It's not coming up on the other screen. But okay. If you can, the poll that we wanted to run today is who's attending today. So if you want, you can put your answer in the chat. And are you a business owner? Are you an office manager? Are you just starting a business? Are you a marketing or sales professional? Or are you just interested in the topic? Awesome. So we have a business owner, so Lauren Lastimosa is a business owner. Ivan Arvalo is a small business owner.
Welcome. Shannon, oh, we've got a couple of extras. So we're getting more people, Tony. That's good. That's right. Good.
Philip DeRita, business owner, digital marketing consultant for SMB and nonprofits.
Great. Welcome, Philip. You feel free to jump in at any point in time and help along, help push us along with this this topic. So welcome, Sharon.
You're mute, Philip. So if you want to speak, remember to unmute yourself. Okay. So sorry about the polls.
So what I'm hoping to do is that many people talk about strategy and they talk about how it works or how they think it works. So what I'm hoping that you guys will come away with today is an idea of how to think in terms of your strategy, overall business strategy, but also thinking in terms of let's take it down to your minimally viable client. Who is that set? Because we can't market to everybody, but if we find that set of people who really love our product or really it resonates with them, not just our products, our services, but also what we talk about. That's a phrase I got from Seth Godin, right? Some of you may have heard of him. Hopefully, Philip, you've seen him. He's really been writing. He's wrote like over 19 books on marketing through his career. Hey, Tony, could I ask you to mute also? I'm getting a little bit of feedback.
Sure.
Thanks. So let's talk about some of the topics that we're going to cover in this. And we're doing, again, two different things. We're talking about some of the digital strategy And we're also talking about demand generation. So now, the digital strategy is a plan that's going to outline how your business is going to use digital technologies in achieving your goals. Thinking in terms of who your target audience is, what their needs are, what channels you're going to use to reach them. And demand generation takes that a step further because it involves creating awareness and interest in your product or service. Creating an effective digital strategy is extremely important because we're using our buyer intent, we're using personas. And for those who joined a couple of months ago, personas are those fictional characters that represent the target audience. And they help you as a business owner understand your customers at a deeper level. They also help you consider, in that target audience, where they live, where they work, what they watch. And these are all factors that we're going to consider as we create the digital strategies. And your basic digital strategy is you want to reach that target market, right? It can seem overwhelming, right? As I mentioned, the foundation is knowing your target audience. You're going to collect some of that data through analytics and online surveys, right? Once you have that information, you can start to craft your buyer persona, and then using that buyer persona, you create your messaging, something that resonates with them. Once you've got your messaging going, then you can start to choose the channels and how you want to reach out to them. Lastly, what you want with your digital strategy is making sure that you establish specific and measurable goals to track what's going on over time. I've spoken with a number of people who have said to me, I have a website, I try to do this, I try to do that, but I have no idea if it works. And that's really true to the fact that they haven't really established their target. They haven't figured out a way to manage what's actually going on. And in a typical digital strategy, you're thinking in terms of a SWOT analysis, a strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It's very traditional. Very many large businesses use it in order to determine what's going on in their markets, but also what they're doing. We're going to flip that a little bit, and we're going to think in terms of a checklist. The checklist makes it a little bit easier. There was a author by the name of Atul Gawande who created the Checklist Manifesto. In his book, he talked about he was frustrated by the fact that in the hospitals that he was working in, emergency room procedures weren't always followed. All the stuff that he needed wasn't always available. What he found was that there was no standardized way of doing things. So he created a checklist, and the results were astounding. They had an immense increase in the patients that did not have additional problems that happened with them. It's a really great read if you really want to get into some of that stuff. So we're going to use, again, a type of checklist rather than trying to go through a SWOT analysis, although technically you can do a SWOT analysis with a similar set of questions. So now going forward, right, where do we start? Simon Sinek, some of you may be familiar with him, really talks about starting with why, right? Why are you doing what you're doing? Is it a problem that you were trying to solve, right? Why are you doing it for your customers? Do you see something that they needed, right? Answering your why really defines your vision and your mission. Most successful companies define their why the company is in their market. And you also want to make sure that your answer to that why is appealing to your target market. Your what can be summarized as your elevator pitch. Talk about what you do in 30 seconds or less. Some people may be part of networking groups or have done speed networking. I was at a small business expo in Philadelphia where you literally had a speed network and you got 2 minutes. with each person. So you had 1 minute for yourself to talk about what you did, why you did it, and how you delivered it. And they had a minute or so. Some people took longer. So having a really great elevator pitch is super helpful. Your how discusses your unique value proposition. It's what differentiates you from your competitors, from the people who do the same things that you do. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. I've got a slide that really talks about red ocean strategy and blue ocean strategy. So if you guys might be familiar with that also. Our next question talks about buyer personas, right? That fictional representation of your ideal customer based on psychographics, based on geographic, based on who they are, right? Taking into account their interests, their values, how they prefer to be communicated with. Knowing this buyer persona allows you to tailor your marketing efforts to be specific for that person. One of the things I recommend to use is an empathy map. We covered this in our buyer persona webinar, I guess it was last month or the month before. Okay? As we're going through this, your empathy map really talks about who that person is. It actually provides a name for that person, not just a fictional, it could be somebody, but it could be Mary, right? And she's a mother of 2, and she's got both her kids are under 10, trying to come home from a hard day's work and put a meal on the table, but loves to travel. That's a demographic. That's something that you really, if your product or service resonates with them, that'll be helpful for you to know. Okay. Your next step is a competitive analysis, right? What do you know about what they do online? Have you done one of these lately, or have you ever done one? By doing a competitive analysis, you're analyzing your competitors' strengths and weaknesses, understanding their strategies and some of the things that you can use to develop your strategies for success, but also puts a mirror up to yourself. You can say, hey, I don't do that, or wow, I should do that, right? You can take a look at their messaging, their content, their promotional strategies, tactics. As an example, you might look at their social media channels and see what types of content they're sharing, how they engage with their audience. Now, there's tools to do social media monitoring, or you could go in and do some market research reports. It all helps you come up with what is your competitive advantage and how do you gain an edge from that. You might find something that is a weakness in one of your competitors' products and say, oh, there's a spot where I can go in and start to take advantage of something that they don't do. So let's talk a little bit about Blue Ocean Strategy. It's a book that was written by W. Chan Kim and Renee Mauburn. This book actually talks about the type of market that you might be competing in. A red ocean is an established market, okay? It means that you're fighting for market share with the established players. A blue ocean strategy is focused on a brand new market. It's got little or no competitions. It does mean creating a new category of products and services, stuff that clients really didn't know they needed, right? In that red ocean strategy, you're focusing on taking clients away from your competitors, right? If you're competing with a large business, that might be more challenging. It just makes it harder to do. So, for example, if you're a coffee shop, right, you might need to focus on providing an inviting environment as opposed to just serving the best coffee, the best cup of coffee, or the best tasting cup of coffee. Now, compare that with a blue ocean strategy. right? Are you offering something that has little or no competition? The iPhone was a great example of a blue ocean strategy. You know, when there were phones, everybody had a phone, but an iPhone, a phone with a screen, a really big screen that you could touch and do so much more than you could with a flip phone, that was something that didn't exist and needed people to evangelize for it. That's the challenge with a blue ocean strategy. You need to have somebody that says, hey, I believe in your product, I believe in your service, and they are going to talk to other people and recommend you and refer you for those things. Think in terms of Tesla. Elon Musk created his own version of the auto industry, right? He created electric cars that were stylish and they were fun to drive and prompted them at being eco-friendly, but not really sure how eco-friendly that is. But you get to, a lot of people have told me they get to drive by gas stations. That makes them really happy so that they can do their work, their charging at home. So your next step is, what are the goals of that strategy, okay, of what you're trying to accomplish, right? Identifying your metrics that'll measure what actually happens. So are you looking to increase your website traffic? So therefore, do you want to increase website visitors by 25%? Are you looking to get more people reading your blog, or more subscribers to your newsletter, or potentially just more people who are clicking on your paid advertising? Without establishing goals for what your strategies is, you fall down that trap of, is it working? In establishing these goals, I think it's the hardest part for this is to think in terms of SMART goals. Are they specific? Are they measurable? Are they achievable? Are they relevant? And are they time bound? Okay. A lot of people have a goal, but they don't put any of those parameters around it. So a good SMART goal would be to increase your monthly website visitors by 25% over the next 6 months by creating high quality blog posts, at least 2 per week, and promoting them across your social media channels. That would be a really smart goal because it's very specific and you can measure against it to see whether it actually worked. Now, once you've answered those beginning questions, you start to go for your core message. What is it that you stand for, right? These are your missions and your values, right? Your unique selling proposition. For example, you might sell eco-friendly cleaning products, and your unique selling proposition might be the all-natural ingredients, or of them being free of harsh chemicals. I was working with Tony 2 weeks ago on a pitch contest, and one of the folks who submitted for the pitch contest was in the health and beauty space, and she talked about the fact that for the clientele that she was servicing, they didn't really get trained in how to take care of their health and their beauty, and specifically their hair. And she not only came up with techniques to help them, but she taught these techniques in classes, but she also came up with new formulations of existing products that would not damage the hair, that would make it look better. So again, someone who has a unique selling proposition and their core message is, I'll not only help you take care of yourself better, but I'll help you look better at the same time. I'm going to stop here. So we're part of the way through. I'm just going to open it up for questions. Are there any questions, anything, any comments that anybody has about any of this stuff? Okay. All right. So just to finish that out, again, once you have all of this information, you can really create messaging that resonates with your target audience. And it's that communication of that core value, but now you have something that actually you can move across. It'll be consistent between your social media posting, your blog posting, your newsletters, things of that nature. Okay, so now we come up to channels. How are you going to communicate this information? You've defined your message. Now you've got to tell the story. So let's think in terms of the demographics and the psychographics of your customers. Where do they spend their time online? Are they Facebook oriented? Are they visual? So they're Instagram oriented, right? For example, if you sell fashion accessories to a younger audience, you might have to be on Instagram and TikTok, versus if you're trying to help a backyard mechanic, YouTube might be the right way to provide information that way so that they can follow along step by step in doing things. If you're a B2B, you might be looking at LinkedIn for your social media. You might be creating posts about how your product or your service helps facilitate those types of transactions and things. The other piece to choose here is whether you want to be visual or not. And I've mentioned YouTube, I've mentioned TikTok, I've mentioned Instagram. Those are very visual platforms. Video is taking over, especially short video clips. So you've probably all seen the YouTube Reels. You've seen what TikTok is doing, and there's a number of others that you can follow that, right? Again, it all talks about, it ultimately comes down to tracking your metrics. How much engagement did you have? Did people actually wait through to the end of your video or your blog post or your newsletter? Did they follow through on some of that stuff? These are all in different places in our marketing funnel. For number 12, let's talk about your list of customers. Do me a favor, raise your hand. Speak to me. Do you have something somewhere to track your clients? To track those people who you're interacting with and how you interacted with, right? A CRM, right, allows you to know who you've spoken with, what they've done, what they've worked with you, right? And what your next follow-up is with them. Okay. So if you had a client or a prospect and didn't do the follow-up, well, that's not helpful to come back to them in 6 months and say, hey, what did you still think? Alternatively, if you have a customer and you've got an offer, something to give them, that you've got a new book or you've got a new product that you've put together, you now can use that for email marketing, right? You continue to be top of mind. It's very much along the lines of a book called by Bob Berg called The Go-Giver. Okay, in this book, he talks about the principle of constantly trying to give things to the client to make sure that you maintain top of mind. And he was doing it back in the 80s, where there was no internet, so you had to do mailings, right? So you had Post-it notes with his face on it and everything together. So he was doing this at that level. We have the benefit of being able to do these types of things we have the benefit of trying to do some of these things on email. So let's go on to 13, tracking. I've mentioned this a couple of times, but tracking KPIs or key performance indicators are critical, absolutely critical with any digital marketing campaign, any campaign period, whether it's digital marketing or otherwise. You want to make sure that you're tracking, because it allows you to ensure your success of the success of these efforts, the success of what's going on, right? It's gonna help you identify channels which are working or which are not working. Wouldn't you hate to have to put in time creating a TikTok when no one's engaging with your TikTok? But yet, if you do that same information on YouTube, on a YouTube channel with a little bit more, and you've got more, but you're not tracking that stuff, it would be a real waste of time. Okay, so again, there's tools, but you have to make sure you understand what you're measuring, right? So they go hand in hand, and tools really becomes the one of our finals, our final one, right? Because tools are no longer an option. The tools allow you to do more with less. Oh, and you may have heard the term called marketing automation. It's a fancy term that makes it so that you can do multiple things by just clicking a button. You're literally creating a sequence of steps that says, okay, it's what many of us are involved in doing, what's called a drip campaign. So so let me know, raise your hand, give me a comment. How many people have signed up for, hey, I want that newsletter about this new sweatshirt company, and I want to see what they're doing. So sign me up for that weekly email so I can see their specials, or I can see their stuff. I'll even use Patagonia as an example, or REI, or any of those folks. Once you sign up for their emails, you go into a drip campaign, which means that once a week, every other week, sometimes once a day, you get an email from them that talks about some feature, some benefit, some aspect of their business. And that's what technology allows you to do. The technology makes it so that you only have to set it up once. And I'll give you my example, which is, imagine that you're creating a series of courses, and each of those courses goes deeper and deeper and deeper into your subject matter. Well, you want to be able to bring people into those courses, so you can use automation, marketing automation, to bring somebody to your website or to a landing page and have them start a campaign, a drip, to get stuff. So technology is very, very important in doing this. And of course, you can do it all yourself, or you can hire somebody to get it done. Okay, so that covers the strategy aspect of our webinar today. Here are those 14 questions that we just went through. They will be part of the webinar presentation that you guys will get sent. It looks daunting. It really does. And it's daunting every time I do it with somebody. Every time I try to walk through this, because we go down rabbit holes. And it's just human nature, and that's the way it works. Set aside some time to go through each question for a little while, and you'll notice that it'll get easier as you go through it each time. So now let's talk about generating demand. Okay. Generating demand is our crucial component, right? It helps us to create awareness, create interest in your product or service, and increase sales. It is going to require a deep understanding of your target audience. Go back to that buyer persona. Go back to what their pain points are, what their motivations are, right? What their behaviors are. Again, starting to tailor the message using those. In generating demand, you also want to think of your brand and what you stand for. Creating messaging that differentiates you from your competitors. Making sure that it's clear, it's concise, and it's focused on your unique selling proposition, how you bring benefits, and why they should choose you over anybody else. So I'm going to take you through a what do we know about our prospects diagram. So we created this to look at where people are within the buying funnel, but how to in what we know about them, that helps to guide us in where we want to talk to them. So we're not just thinking of, oh, everybody's TikTok, everybody's this or everybody's that. Really, in using that buyer persona, it helps us to refine where we want to communicate with them. So let's kind of talk about that at first level, right? What's their intent? And we think about intent as I need to get my car fixed, right? Or my hot water heater stopped working. Or I'm looking to get more information on how to put together a garden or something like that. And so here in this, we could talk about paid ads, okay? Paid advertising talks about that specific intent. These people are lower in that marketing funnel, and these people are looking for something right away. So plumber near me or garden center near me, they're looking to find something right away. So as you can see, I did a sample here of people who were doing paid advertising. And this is for plumbing services near me where I live in Barnegat. If you're looking at this slide, what I noticed is that new Google guarantee, okay? That is something that Google put in place so that they can see, oh, the person who's looking at goes, oh, Google provides this guarantee of the service being what the service says it's going to do, or say there's a refund. A really interesting play from Google's perspective, more than likely brought on by Angie's List or Home Again or any number of those other services that are working. But paid advertising is really helpful when you know your buyer's intent. You really know, I need a plumber, I need a car mechanic, I want to buy new potted plants for my deck. Okay. Our next way that we can look at target people is by what do we know about who they are? Now this talks to Facebook. This talks to Instagram, right? Hugely powerful strategy in trying to communicate with folks, because Facebook knows more than we know, that we give them credit for, right? They know all about our interests, wide range of criteria, from the demographics of how old we are, how many kids we've got, where we travel. I mean, who doesn't post vacation pictures on Facebook, right? You can use Facebook for a really highly targeted campaign for folks. So for example, you could be a fitness brand targeting women in their 30s who live in an urban area. Facebook is a great place to do that, because you can have those ads so targeted that you're not wasting money on a generic ad. But again, Facebook is more at the top of the funnel, right? They are people who are just thinking about things, as opposed to a Google ad, which is more at the bottom of the funnel of, I need somebody right now. So here's an example of a Facebook sponsored ad. A couple things to point out on this is that, and this goes back from a couple years ago, so this has changed, but the ad itself is sponsored, but it also has social proof. So there are a couple people who this person who took this screen snapshot knows that like this particular ad or like this company. So now there's a bit of social proof. There's some oh wow, if they like it, I'm gonna like it too. Right? So a lot of things going for it that way. The other thing that Facebook provides is a lookalike engine. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this. So this is a tool to find new customers based on customers you already have. So you take your customer list, you upload it to Facebook, and they then find a set of customers that match those demographics and start to pose your ads to that set of demographics. Okay. So for example, you're a fashion brand with a list of loyal customers. You can find other customers that are very similar who would be interested in your clothing. Couple things to consider about Facebook. If it's polished, it doesn't work well. There's a lot of people who are doing much more polished things these days, but really the user-generated stuff is what works the best. Okay. Ads are obviously easy to ignore within any platform, but especially so in Facebook. You know, you have about 3 seconds, like with anybody, with anything, whether you're on LinkedIn or anything else, 3 seconds, and that's that. If you're going to create videos, they're going to be muted off the bat. There's a couple of apps for both iOS and Android. Clips is for iOS and Auto Caps for Android. That'll help you capture your subtitles for your videos, and they work really well. They're just an app that goes right on your phone that you can use it. The other benefit of this is that, you know, user ad engagement. So you can start to have a conversation by having a provocative ad or something that resonates with your demographic. So let's now go into what they do, right? So where people are working, okay? This is a powerful, the use of LinkedIn. Of those of you, I don't know how many of you use LinkedIn, but it is a professional social network where a lot of people are on a couple of hours a day, maybe an hour a day, but just to keep up with what's going on in the business world, as opposed to in their personal world or in the consumer world. They also provide advertisements and sponsored updates. So a sponsored update or an ad just looks like a regular post within LinkedIn. It's not really very differentiated, but you can use them to target users or potential business owners who might benefit from your service, or you could then connect with them in order to work on business projects. So what about where people are located? You can create ads that target a geolocation, do geo-targeting or geofencing. So you guys might not be familiar with those terms. So geolocation is determining a physical user's location using GPS, Wi-Fi, or IP addresses. So you can, again, target people. Think in terms of if anybody uses Waze and gets a pop-up for Dunkin' Donuts or Wendy's or Burger King, right? Drive there, or Wawa, things like that. So that's a geolocation advertising. Now take it one level down, you can go into geo-targeting. So now you could start to look at businesses that are in close physical proximity to each other. So say you're at the Jersey Shore Mall, right, up at 105, right? So you could Jersey Shore Mall. You could take on a geo-targeting ad that says, hey, if you're there to go up to Le Creuset or any one of the other stores, and here, and you're on your phone, well, let me see if I can pop up an ad about a Nike store or one of the other stores that's there. So that's for people like you're in the same zip code or you're really within that same area. And the last one that I'll talk about is geofencing, right? So geofencing is really about a real small location. one of my colleagues talked about the fact that one of his clients was a Mercedes-Benz dealer. But what he did was he created a geofencing option, and whenever people drove out of the Lexus dealer, which was half a mile up the street, or the Acura dealer, right, or the Jaguar dealer, those ads would pop up for him. Okay, so that was geofencing. So he had a fence kind of around those dealers. So once they moved away from those dealers, those ads started popping up. Again, another way of potentially targeting folks. Now I know I'm starting to run out of time, so let me speed this up a little bit. Okay. You can also start to target people on what they're saying, where they're doing reviews. Twitter is a great example of people who are online all the time, trying to have conversations with, create their opinions and show stuff. There's a great example of a couple of years ago that Papa John's, anytime somebody said the word hungry, anybody said the word pizza, Papa John's would pop up an ad. And they were getting about 10 or 20% of clicks because it was a discount ad for something. Really, really innovative way of trying to get information out in front of people. So let's go to what people are watching. We know there's YouTube, TikTok, things like that, right? So each of those, similar to Facebook, has a way to pop up ads and to do stuff. On YouTube, you probably have seen this quite a bit, where you can see this is an example of Grammarly, which is an application that helps you write better. They've popped up not only did they pop up an ad in the middle of it, they threw in a second ad to try it with a great call to action, and then they've got a third one in the tags up on the right-hand side. So you can disrupt a YouTube ad like this and put your brand, your product, your services in front of a lot more people. The last one we'll talk about is retargeting and remarketing. If you're not familiar about them, right, remarketing involves reaching out to customers that have previously interacted with your brand. They may have visited your website, they may have signed up for a newsletter, or they made a purchase. Okay. Retargeting shows very specific ads to customers who have gone onto your website or engaged in some other way. So no doubt we've all been victims of retargeting and remarketing. And I say victim because it's not the most fun thing to do. But again, the prospect visits your website, they get a tracking cookie. Facebook uses a pixel that's embedded into every single page. They move along, and then they start to go to other sites that support ads, which there are a ton of those sites, and boom, your ad could pop up for them. They do increase your campaign costs by a little bit, but your performance on those ads is also increased because you're seen over and over again. I think the stat that I saw was anywhere between 7 and 9 times that you need to be seen in order to be recognized. It's one of the reasons why billboards work really well. So here's an example of remarketing on Facebook and on Google. And you could see that, this is one of these ads is for my company, WSI, right? In Facebook, you can see these types of remarketing ads also. So we've all been exposed to them. So let's talk about what's next. Take those questions, document the answers, document what you can, right? The way that I would propose for you to do it is to just take the time to read through them, start to think about them, and in a very, very easy, casual manner, start to put answers in. As you find as you go through it over the course of time, you'll start to refine the answers. Don't go for perfection, go for progress. When you start getting your stuff there and you start to see gaps, oh, I should think about this, I should think about that, start to fill in those gaps. Start to think about, oh, let's expand to this, or let's expand to that. Your next step then would be create that action plan. In concert with generating demand, think about what steps to do. And I've given you a couple of options here, right? A, define your goals and your KPIs. What is it that you want your strategy to do? What will be success for you? Okay. Define your message, right? What's your unique value proposition? Define that particular way of tone that will resonate and potentially resonate with your clients, right? Create that content, and then start to define delivery. Start to define how you're going to do that stuff, right? Are you going to do paid ads? Are you going to do some email marketing, right? Perhaps you want to do some remarketing and geolocation together, but measure. I can't state that enough, because you won't be able to tell how successful you are unless you measure it. So let's bring it all together, kind of all the way through. You want to start off by reviewing your business strategy, right? Use those questions to highlight gaps, right? You want to define things by creating or updating the strategy, and then identifying what you know about your client, your customers, what you know about them today, where you can meet them. Document those insights of what you found, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, and don't forget to go back in time a little bit to what you've done in the past. There's insights to be mined there on what you've done in the past. So don't forget to do that, and then create your action plan. What steps are you going to take, right? As you go through that action plan, keep an eye on those KPIs. It's going to be hard. You might want to do that once a week to begin with, then move it to once a month, then move it to once a quarter. But keep an eye on those KPIs and plan your review sessions, right? Make sure you set that into your calendar as every Friday morning. I'm going to go and see what happens, right? What's been going on in my marketing and how it's been doing. So I'll finish this up with join us for the next webinar. I hope that this has been very helpful for you. We'll be looking into converting website visitors into leads, and that's on May the 24th at 12 p.m. There's a link there for the next one. And then if you're interested in the book, this is all taken from a WSI Digital Minds book. So there's an opportunity to go and take a look at that. If you need help, if you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call. You can email me. You can set up a meeting with me. I'll be glad to walk you through any parts of this or anything else that you need or would like to talk about. And then I've also created a list of resources that you can go in. There are some score. There's the Medium post is really good, providing a nice broad level of information. And then HubSpot. If you're not familiar with HubSpot and HubSpot's Academy and its training, just go searching, and you will get lost for days in everything, all the content that they're putting out. So thank you so much. I very much appreciate you being with us for this afternoon and talking about digital strategy and demand generation. And Tony, I'll leave it for you.
Okay, well, we'll open it up for questions. As we were going through the presentation, you were on the database slide, and Philip made a comment that he was falling. That's one of the areas that he's facing some challenges. So, Philip, if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question, you can do that. I think it might be a little bit easier than typing a long question into the chat session. So if you would like to ask some questions around that database slide or around building a database of your contacts and customers, we'd be certainly happy to answer to that.
Sure, Tony. Thank you so much, and Peter, thank you for this great presentation. What's nice is that you've brought a lot of granular, but it doesn't seem so totally overwhelming. Even 14 points doesn't sound bad when you're sitting in the same seat. A lot of great stuff, great structure. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I do a lot of networking now, physical face-to-face. Thank God we're all back with people. I think marketers are people, like to be people persons. And so I'm getting a lot of great leads and contacts, but I guess part of it is, do I just take every email address and contact information I get and start just to build out that list so I can at least be talking to people? Or should I really be looking for those warm leads to build into what I'll need to enact as a CRM? I don't have one yet. I'm a growing consultancy. So I'm trying to figure that all out as a one-man band, so to speak.
It is daunting. It is daunting on how to do that, because we're as solopreneurs, right? We're have many hats to wear, and how to actually do all of the stuff at once. And the suggestion, which I do myself, right? What I'm doing is I have one bigger piece. I actually use HubSpot is what I've implemented, because there's a free version. I can put everything in it. But then with HubSpot, you can segregate them into a networking contact, who then you can nurture and you can keep in touch with them, or you can make them with a lead, because you never know who is going to come up with an opportunity for you in the course of time. There was a statistic that I read a couple of months ago, which was for every person that you meet in networking and trying and working with them, they might be not ready to work with you today, but within 3 years, they will be ready to work with you sometime within that 3-year time frame. So those people who you network with would be good to nurture with. So to set up a once a month email newsletter or something, a quick, hey, how are you doing? Just checking in with you. How have things changed? So I would definitely use one of the free ones. I mean, HubSpot does stuff that way. You've got Pipedrive, which I think has one that way, or just create an Excel spreadsheet.
Very much appreciated. Thank you.
Okay.
Can you put up your email address as well? I'd love to contact you beyond this.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, why don't you post your email address in the chat so it's available to everyone. Anyone, one other thing, Philip, if you're doing more email marketing, some of the email marketing programs like Constant Contact also provide a contact database where you can put that together, and then you can automate a drip campaign via email.
That's correct. Yep. There's lots of options and opportunities there to take advantage of stuff that's free.
Okay. Last call. Anyone have any questions? You can either unmute yourself and ask away, or you can put your question in the chat room. I have a kind of a statement from Kimberly. She has Constant Contact, but haven't really used it. That's one of the things that we can help you with as mentors. Some of us are pretty familiar with Constant Contact. I do all the email marketing for the chapter. So if you have questions about getting started with Constant Contact, I can certainly help you with those things. Okay, I believe that is. I'm just going to type my email address in here for Kimberly. And okay, so I don't think we have any more questions. So thank everyone. Thank you all for coming today. I hope this was informative. We're, as we've said, this is a series, and we're starting to put it all together and show you how the earlier parts of the presentation, which are, by the way, available on our chapter YouTube channel. So if you missed any of the earlier ones, you can go back to and watch them. But some of that is about developing information about your customers, about your market, about your competition. And now we're getting into the fundamentals of, okay, now I have all this information. How do I use it? Where do I find these people? And how do I reach them in the most cost-effective manner? So it's starting to come together, and we're getting into the areas of action and how do I best reach my customers. So join us next month if you want to. I believe that's May 24th. Did you say, Peter? May 24th at 12 at 12 p.m. It will of course be in our newsletter, and we'd like to see you all there. So thank you very much for attending, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you. Cheers.